hearts of Adelaide zoogoers over the past 15 years are set to return to China after the Chinese Premier announced they will be swapped with two new ones. Adelaide Zoo Director Dr. Phil Ainsley joins us now. Phil, very good morning to you. A very big day for the zoo yesterday.
Yes, good morning, Michael. A great day yesterday, having Premier Li here and the announcement that Funian Wangwang will be returning back to China after 15 years. But the great news is that we are looking to be getting some new pandas at some point in the near future.
That is great news. We'll talk about that in a moment. Do we know exactly when Wangwang and Funi do make their return?
Yeah, our current collaboration with the China panda bases at the moment will see Funian Wangwang in Adelaide until the end of this year, roughly around the end of November. The exact return date, we'll start to work through that with our counterparts in China and hopefully be able to announce that to the general public in the very near future.
Undoubtedly, it'll be sad for you, Phil, and all the other great people who work at the zoo. Undoubtedly, you formed a great connection with these two pandas.
15 years of having Funian Wangwang here has been obviously lots of our zoo members and public have made those connections, but definitely the keeping team and our vets and everyone who gets to work with them, they're two absolutely amazing animals. So absolutely will be sad to see them go, but know they're returning back to China to complete their lives there as part of what happens with all giant pandas around the world. But equally excited that we're able to continue our journey helping with the conservation of what undoubtedly is one of the world's most iconic conservation species. So it'd be great to continue our work with the giant panda.
Excellent. So the existing two go, as you say, towards the end of this year, and they followed in quick succession by the two new ones. Is that the plan?
Well, at the moment, we're not exactly sure as to when the two new giant pandas will arrive. We know there's some process we've got to work through, and that's both for Funian Wangwang to return back to China. The announcement was yesterday, but now we've got all of the regulatory processes both from the Australian side and the Chinese side to work through to get Funian Wangwang back there, and then also to bring new giant pandas into Australia. So we have to work with all of our government agencies and quarantine and ensuring the biosecurity is absolutely upheld. So we've got a bit of work to do in that space. So we expect that to occur shortly or maybe early in the new year, depending on what we eventually end up agreeing with China.
Yeah, very good point about biosecurity being supremely important here in Australia. Phil, you'll be very pleased to know we've been running an informal competition here at News Breakfast this morning about names for the new pandas, very inventive suggestions, but who does actually get to name them?
Yeah, when the pandas arrive, they will have names. So we're not exactly sure how old the giant pandas will be, the two that come into Adelaide, but all the pandas normally come with a name. So from an Australian side, once they arrive, they'll have those names for their time in Australia. And if we are fortunate enough in the future with those two to be able to breed pandas, then we'll work with our Chinese counterparts to come up with a name. But any pandas arriving into the country will have names given to them, and they're the ones that we'll make sure we keep.
Listen, I'm sure they'll be great names with some great suggestions. Very South Australian-based suggestions include Stoby and Fritz. What do you think of those?
Look, I'm not sure how the translation of Fritz will go back to
you could have
China,
a go.
but I'm sure that's something we can suggest.
And you are
that would be great to see the translation of that.
Yeah, and you are hoping, as you say, for a better success for the two new pandas, giant pandas, hopefully producing baby pandas sometime down the track.
Yeah, look, definitely. I think our initial focus was just to have been involved in that program, and I think one of the things that Adelaide Zoo is most proud of is in the 15 years we've been working with giant pandas, we've seen that conservation status of them improve. So they've gone from endangered to vulnerable. So that's something we're really proud of. Breeding a giant panda in itself is a really tricky process. Unfortunately, their reproductive life, they only have a very short window each year in which they can fall pregnant. And we've come close, but unfortunately we haven't ended up with a cub. So if that happens in the future with the new giant pandas, that'd be a great outcome. Fantastic to see a panda cub, because whilst the big pandas are absolutely adorable, I will say a giant panda cub is something in itself to behold.
Yeah, all of our fingers to be crossed. Phil Ainsley from Adelaide Zoo, thank you so much for joining us.